Thank you. Hello everybody, my name is Craig Bennett and I'm the founder and owner of TechViewsNope, and today we are doing the 5th installation into the Android tutorial series. Again, this is the series that will come out once to twice a week depending on my personal schedule. And if you hadn't checked the previous video out, then please feel free to check out the card. And if you have checked it out, then great. If you hadn't, I highly advise you to go there and check that one out. And if you want to just skip ahead, go to the future video, then feel free to again go to the card and then check that out. If there is no card, then that means the video has not came out yet. But anyways, let's jump on into what this video is going to be about. In this one, I'm going to show you how to set up your layout, the layout itself, and we're going to actually get into some code. We're actually going to do something. Now, for this, I'm just going to do my name is blah 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 and press a button and something comes up. It's very, very simple. It's just to get you a good hands-on experience with this stuff. So to get to this, all you need to go to is the app, the RES, the resources, the layout, and then pick the layout you're going for. You should at this point only have one layout, so you shouldn't have much to worry about. And this is why you need to properly label your stuff so you know what is what. So from here you will have two choices. You will have, and also for the Java, you just go Java, the first one, and go with that. But as far as this, you will have a choice to either edit your stuff within a drag and drop, or if you select a text, you can edit with the XML code. By changing one, it changes the other. It's just this is a way for you to see things. And if you want, you can right click the whatever you're wanting to edit. You can split vertically or you can split horizontally. And if you want to close them, you just press close on that. I'm just going to stick to one so it's easier to see, but in case if you want to do it, you can do those things. Now these things on the left side are things you can add into here. The middle is the designer. You can change the designer from here, the device, change the layout from here, and it's stuff on the right side is hierarchy. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this text and we're going to change what it says. We're going to go down to text and change that. Notice right now it says hello world, same as there. So we're going to change it to my name is, simple as that. And when you select on the side, it will change it here, and if you go here, it will change it here too. And let's just add a little thing there, and as you see here, it added it. It's very hard to see, but it added it. As seen there. So from here, we can do many other things. We could change the background and a few other things. And this is one of the biggest reasons why most developers like to use the designer as much as possible. But keep in mind that if things are scrollable, you might not be able to see everything, and that's where you need to actually know the code side of stuff. It's very, very important in those times. Now, real quick, before we move on, I want to mention something called warnings. You'll see up here on the top right of the code, it will have a block, and it'll be yellow or red or some other color. And if you hover over it, you can actually see, so it'll say there's 2 typos and 1 warning. And then if you go down here, you'll see that it's saying that there's a warning right here. You'll even see a little thing right here And basically all it's saying is it should be in a string. Warnings you don't have to worry much about. It's something that you should fix. Errors you have to fix. It's kind of like you shouldn't run your washing machine, your clothes washing machine, on hot all the time. It's a warning, but if the belt's off of it, you can't even run it, and that's the error. So you got to fix errors no matter what. But warnings is just to the point of a suggestion to just about becoming an error. So it's important to keep in mind what the warnings is, but you're probably going to see this one more than anything else. Now, before we move on, because we haven't done anything important and irreversible yet, let's get into saving. So Android Studio should automatically save your stuff for you. However, if you really want to ensure that it's saved, then all you have to do is go over here to Save All and click that. Or if you hover over it, you should see the hotkeys for it. So on Windows, it's Control S. Simple as that. So now at this point, we're going to be adding things into just another text block. And what we need to do is go to Design and then go down to Plain Text View. And basically all these are is views. They are things you can put on your screen for interactive or non-interactive. But without overloading you, I'm just going to say grab the plain text view. You might see normal text view or normal text, but grab that, drag it over here, and you'll notice because we have a relative layout over here, what happens is you'll see these arrows, the yellow and the dots and all the other stuff. Basically what it says is it will anchor the whatever you place here to this spot relative towards, say, that. So say for example, if I put it like right here, then what would end up happening is the, unfortunately if I let it go, I can't draw, but what it's basically saying is it will anchor it towards the bottom of the my name is, and then the right of my name is by how much. And what it will basically say is if someone has a different screen size, then it will change that, because depending on the screen size, and the person's preferences on their device, that depend on if they're old and they have bigger font or smaller font or whatever, is depending on how all this looks. So it's basically putting it in favor for the device, because you might have standard definition devices, high definition devices, and you might have different size things. So what we want is go to where it says as the cross, go left most until we get a green line, and then let go. Then go down to text, and we need to put a default text. So I'm going to just put my name. You can put it yours if you want. And if we click, we can see that. Now, as far as the size is a bit small, so we need to do, say, 24 SP. You can change it to whatever you want, but that's just the font size for this particular thing. And if you want to do style, then you can do that. And if you want to do color of the text, we can click this, pick color, and press OK, and see we change it there. If we want to change it to, say, neon green, that looks pretty bad with the white background, or change it back to the black. So that's a pretty easy and simple way of doing it, and that's something you keep in mind when you're dealing with the different backgrounds and different things. Now you may be asking, does this change the XML code? And yeah, it does. As I said before, if you're listening, everything you do in one changes the other. So as you see here, we changed it with our name. We added the text view. And when you add a text view, you automatically get the ID, the length, the width, and the text. And since we have it as far as a relative layout, we'll have that. We have the text size and the color. So one thing I'll tell you is we like this size. So let's go into the code side of things and just do it here so you get a taste of that. Do Android text and then use your arrow key to go down to text size and hit the tab key and it auto fills it. And that's a quick way on a lot of workstations. The tab key will actually autofill. Some workstations is a little bit different from others, so keep that in mind, but a lot of them are the tab key. Then you can go down and just type in say 24 dp inch or whatever. We're just going for SP. And if we go here, you can see it changed it. And let's go and click this because I find it a lot easier to just change the color in here. Or we can do that and go back and we can see it changed. Now, as far as the next thing, we're going to add a button, and this is pretty simple in itself. Basically, you go back to the palettes and the design, and then click and drag the button. We're going to put it on the very bottom, but in the middle, as you see here. Just drop it right there, and you might see new button. If we go to the text, it has the same aspects as the text itself. So what we want to do is type in here where I learn how to code for Android, or you can put in whatever you want. So what is the name of my school or whatever, in case if you're doing this for a school project. And basically we want this to fill out the entire bottom. So what we will do is we can either go up to the top and the width and click that and fill or match parent, but a quick way of doing it is just clicking this button right here and it fills it. So if we want to do the opposite as far as the height, we can do that too. But let's undo that real quick, and we can change the background of the button to show like an actual button. And for this, what you will need is, and I'll get more into it, but just in a brief explanation right now, you will need to have a image of a button, because what you see here is pretty bland and most people won't recognize that as being an actual button. So to simply fix that, you will just need to have a image of a button and make sure it has a transparent background on the edges of the button, the image that you chose, and make sure the words can be seen. Obviously you can change the color of the words here. And what would end up happening is you'll have what's called a layer effect, and the image of the button will be in the back layer, and then you'll have the words to be on the top layer, and that way you can always see the words. But let's say that we have something like this and we want to turn it back. We can actually go and click that again. If you look at the highlighted text, it tells you what it's going to do, and it just wraps the content. So let's make that match parent again, and let's go to the text view. So the text view, one thing I want to point out real quick is, now that we got a couple things up, is we need to add a ID to this. So what we're going to do is go down one, and what I prefer to do is have this under everything. It's just makes it a little bit better for me. It's just a personal touch. But what we're going to do is do Android ID, and then tab to let it autofill that, and do something like my name. And then we're going to double click on this, and we can keep this ID, but the problem is we won't know what this ID means when we actually go to use it in the functionality. This is like the buttons. Say, for example, if I got 30 different buttons within the app, I don't know what button 1 means. I need to know exactly what things mean. So with this, what we're going to do is say the name, if it's okay, I can't tell which is what, so we're going to need to go a little bit more descriptive. So I'm going to say school. Then we need to go down to the button, and we can keep it as button since we only got one button for this. But if we got multiple, we probably need to put in like submit or something like that. But if you only have one of a given item, it's fine to keep it as it is. But it's good practice to actually change the ID to something that you can actually remember, and that way in the functionality you can call upon it. Now, one thing I will add into here real quick is, if you plan for the text to do nothing, like if it's just going to be text and it does nothing, like the backend shouldn't change it at all, then it doesn't even need an ID. There's no reason for it to have an ID, so you can just remove the ID from it altogether. To do that, you just highlight and just backspace. But since we're going to change both of these, where I'm going to have this say my school name is, and then your school name, and for me I'm just going to put in check for recent help. But if you're doing this with a teacher in high school or college, we're going to have it where you can press this button and it changes both of these. Now, real quick before we move on, I want to mention that notice that there is colors right here. Unfortunately, it's black, which means that it's hard to see with a black background. But basically what we have here is we can actually see the actual color, and this is a good indicator on where things are. We can also say we don't need to look at that code. We can minimize that a little bit, and that way we can focus on only things that we are interested in. Now let's run this in the emulator so you can actually see this, and let's let it build and everything. And what's going to end up happening is you will have the button, the layouts, and everything that you design in like below, and you can click on the button all day long, but it's not going to do anything because we didn't program it to do something. But you have a generalized layout, and you can go and have it landscape or portrait if you want. We didn't change it where it locks it in place, and I'll get into that in a later video. Now let's look at how things are put together. Let's go back to the design tab, and you can see a hierarchy. You have the parent from the relative screen, and then you have the children, and then let's say, for example, if we throw in here a scroll view, and you don't have to do this. I'm on delete it in a second, and throw and something like that. So we got a parent and a child of the parent. Then we got a parent and a child of that parent. So we got a hierarchy, and it's very important to understand this bit, because if you understand the placement of things, and to do what I just did, you just press delete when you're highlighting it, but to do that is to figure out if something's going to overlap very easily. And it's a very quick way to selecting something and get into whatever properties or whatever you're looking for. And when you get into these real long formats where someone has to scroll down a little bit, say they're filling out something or something else, then you can actually use this to figure out where everything is. Now let's change the color of the background. I'm not going to have this permanent, but it's up to you if you want. But what you need to do is select the background. I prefer, if I can, just select on the designer itself. Again, if it's a long view, then you might have to use this to select the proper thing. Then go down to background and select this. You can use the system, you can use project, or you can use color. And right now it's a pure white background. We could change it like we did before. I'm going to hit cancel since I don't want this actually changed. But go ahead and change it. Make sure you can see the text and the button itself. Keep in mind that you can have a background. Say for example, if I wanted to have a background that that I could just say at Android color tab, and let's say white, and what it would do is change this text to white, as you saw there. In case if you don't want to go for the hex code, which is this is a hex code. So the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to talk about padding. And what it basically is you might notice that things are not going exactly towards the edges. And you might be asking, all right, why is that? And that's because of padding. If you go to the text view, if you go to the very top, the padding is set up here under the relative layout, which is the uppermost parent. So what we need to do is go to the Android padding and then whatever, bottom, left, right, whatever. We can set the value here, but we want our app to be consistent if we got more than one activity. And this just gives a good feel for the user, because you don't want something that has, say, 100 DP and then you have something with 0. You need to have everything with a consistent amount. So what you're seeing here is a highlight. On yours it might be green depending on your theme of your workstation, but for this it's gray. The highlight means that if you hover over it, it will show something. For example, the warning down here, but the warning down here knows it's yellow where this is gray. It means that it's substituting the gray. It means it's substituting the 16 DP whatever for the original value, because it says that this at daemon activity so and so on, it is its value is 16 DP. So how do we see it, or how do we keep the original up? Simply click on it and there you go. Now, because we want to keep things consistent across the board, what we can do is go to the project and go down to the resource, the value, the dimension, and click the first one. And see here, it says 16 DP like before. So for here, what I want you to do is simply select that to 50. You can obviously use whatever numbers you want, but again, the reason why you use this again is to basically set it up where you can have each thing showing the exact same, so each activity showing the exact same padding, so it gives the exact same fill for each one. You can obviously just get rid of that all entirely if you want, but for now, for this, we're going to just keep that and set at 50. Now we're going to go back to the layout and go design, and you see things changed here. And if we go to the emulator and run this, what we will see is this change in a second or two when it runs. And there you go. You can see a massive change. So sometimes this is helpful and sometimes it's not. So it's really dependent on things. Now let's go ahead and get into how to remove that bar at the top. Now, as far as this bar at the very top, this is called a action bar. And if you have multiple activities, multiple layouts, this is very useful and you can have it do a few things. But in many applications that you run through today, even if they have multiple activities, you'll find it's not there at all because it takes up valuable real estate. So what we need to do is we need to simply remove it. You can get rid of it through the Java, but we're going to just get rid of it altogether. And I'm going to show you how to do it through the manifest. But one thing to keep in mind is we will change the theme. Now in the later video, I'm going to show you how to deal with the theme and make your own theme, but that's going to be much down the road. So what we need to do is go to the manifest and double click on this. And this is metadata of your application. Basically, this is something that we will revisit time and time again, and it's highly useful within coding. Now, the reason why we went here is we needed to figure out where the theme is, and I see here is at style. So we need to find out where is at style, and if we go down to the values, we can see styles. So let's open that up. Now, as far as this goes, what we're going to do is simply select the this up here. And you may notice that this isn't much, that there's just simply not much to this. And what it is it's a parent style, as we saw before. What it's doing is this is the parent, and you only have a few things down here. But anyways, what we need to do is simply go into this to change the theme. We really just want to change the action bar where we don't have it. So let's highlight the dark action bar by double clicking that and pressing the backspace. Then go and press the control space, and this will open up a autocomplete. Go down to no action bar, and you can see here there's a few other themes in case if you want to check them out, which I'll advise you to just check them out, see what they look like, and see all that stuff, and you might find something that's worthwhile. Now let's go to the design, and as we see here, the action bar is gone. I already ran this code into the emulator, so we can just skip ahead, but feel free to do so. And I advise you to do this, especially when you're first starting out and you're trying to learn how to code, because if something does go wrong, you can catch it like that and it's less to worry about. Whereas obviously when you get more experience, you don't have to worry about that as much, but it's good to catch whatever goes wrong now instead of you have to play a detective and figure out the stuff. It might be one character somewhere that is a warning, or maybe you accidentally change the color or something and you got to find a way to get back there. But But anyways, as far as that goes, this is the generalized layout, and that's all I'm going to do in this video so I don't overload you. And sorry that this video is very long, but I figured that since it's a beginner video, might as well. Now, if you do have any questions or anything, let me know in the comment section. I'll try to get to you as quickly as possible. Run into any problems or anything, let me know. But what I want you to do is start using things like Stack Overflow and start using Google for your errors and some other stuff, because a big portion of coding Android or anything else, including iOS stuff, Windows, and so on, is finding out what's wrong by basically playing detective or by using Google. So use Google, figure out what's wrong, and try to narrow down on the answer. And if that doesn't work, then ask places like Stack Overflow, and that way you can get a good answer. But anyways, as far as that goes, before I forget, for Stack Overflow, what you also need to do is, if you can't find it on Google and you go to Stack Overflow to ask questions, search there first, because a lot of people will flat out just downvote your question if you don't do that. It's because a lot of people ask things without looking in comments or other people's questions. But anyways, as far as that goes, again, my name is Craig Bennett, the founder of TechViewsNope. If you like this video, go ahead and leave a like, subscribe, and share. And feel free to check out our Patreon and PayPal donations. But I'll see you in the next video. Have a great